Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another budget guitar review. I'm not gonna let the cat out of the bag. We're gonna go ahead and open it up and see what's inside. And it's always nice to see a box inside of a box. A couple pieces of paper. Turn it this way so you don't see the name until it comes out. More paper. I guess I can spin it around now. It's an Ibanez. I know what you're thinking. At the beginning of the video I said budget. Well, believe it or not, Ibanez does make some budget guitars. Let's see which budget guitar this is. And I missed a piece of tape. Let's check the box. And there's a little bit of movement. It's not completely encapsulated in foam. They put some foam on the sides, foam in the back. You got a foam brace for the neck. The guitar looks like in here got a manual, one tool, and the Ibanez warranty. And like most times, they've got a rubber band on the headstock here. And it does look like the wrapping has torn right there. Hopefully there's no damage. Doesn't look like it. This is the AX120 or AX6, it's also called. We're going to do our normal routine. Move this stuff out of the way. We're going to go through the guitar and see how well it's set up. There's no notes on it here. I guess the first thing to do is just to kind of look at the overall fit and finish of the guitar. See if we see any flaws. And I already see some. Right here on the horn, there's some scratches. It does have a nice body cut though. I like that. It looks like a multi-piece. I can see a seam here and a seam here. So it looks like a three-piece body. neck pocket. Neck pocket looks pretty good. I don't see any other spots in the finish other than that spot right there, and that's a peculiar spot for a scratch. It's on the inside of the horn there. That had to be something that was done before it was boxed. Alright, let's look at our little pickup cover here. If you look at the pickup cover right here, the fit's not great right where it ties into the neck. That could be done a little better. As far as the way it fits around the pickup covers, that's good. The hardware looks nice. There's no movement, it's very solid. It's a string through tailpiece. Looks like we have a bound neck with rectangle inlays. It is a scarfed joint neck. You see the scarf joint right here. And they are, again, not Ibanez branded tuners. This guitar says made in China. And again, it does have the proprietary truss rod cover. No screws needed. This just kind of slides down so you can get to your truss rod cover, your truss rod. The nut is okay. It feels like it's protruding on this side and inset on the low E side. Yeah, it's definitely sticking that direction on the high E. As far as frets, I'm not gonna lie. If you went to a steakhouse, you could probably use this to cut your steak. They are sharp. They are really sharp. I would honestly say what I think has taken place here, they've leveled these, crowned them, and they took their chamfering piece, they ran it back and forth across the nut, the frets, and that's all they did. I don't think these frets have been dressed at all. That is horrible. As far as the neck feel, the back of the neck is okay. I would say it's average. It's not bad and it's not great. It's just average. The binding to the wood right here, you can feel there's a lip right there. And that could be the radius comes up and it goes straight. So it's not eased right there. There's a definite corner. Do you feel it when your arm's here in your hand? No, you don't. You feel it more on the low E side. So that could have been done a little better as well. That should have been eased a little bit more. Okay, let's figure out what the neck is. I have no clue. It looks short, so let's try 24.75. And that is what it is. And there is a substantial amount of neck relief in this guitar. Let me get down and look at it. I am going to say this guitar has 2 millimeters of neck relief. Probably the most that I've seen on any guitar that we have reviewed on the channel. It may even be 2.5 millimeters of neck relief. It has a lot. Let's look at our stock setting at our 12th to see what they set the strings at in the bridge. I'll pick the guitar up and look at it this way. On the 12th, wow, 0.130 on the 12th, low E. That's really high. And the high E, we're going to call 1.25. That's pretty high. Alright, we have our fret rocker. I'm going to go through and check the frets. We already know the fret ends aren't dressed at all, but let's see how well they leveled and crowned the neck. And I'll go into squirrel mode while we do this, and I'll move the guitar and get a better view of it. I'll stop the camera and go into regular motion if I find a bad fret. Okay, right there we have a little bit of rocking. Right there we have just a little bit of rocking. Just a little bit of rocking right there. Just a little bit. I mean, it's just barely there. And then good again. So there's technically 3 spots. Actually, believe it or not, it's pretty good. Even though the neck relief is way off, I would say they did a quick setup and no one ever adjusted the truss rod at the factory, and when they strung it up, it's just not quite enough tension on the neck to keep the neck straight. But it was evidently leveled and crowned when the neck was straight, because the fret leveling is decent on it. It's one of the better ones that we've reviewed so far as the leveling on the frets. That's surprising. I really thought it was going to be bad after the feeling on the sides of the fret and the relief. So let's look at our switch here. right off the bat, in the upper position, it feels stable. It's jiggly in the center position, and in the lower position, it's very easy to knock it up to the center position. So it's not a, we're going to call that not a very good switch. It may last, it doesn't have a good feel. From lower position to center, it doesn't lock very well. Now, if you're in the upper position, it's firm before it slips to the center, but the lower position is not good. Let's check our knobs here. That one feels smooth, not gritty. That one feels smooth. That one feels smooth as well. Yeah, they feel nice. And the knob has a little bit of a bugle effect going on down towards the bottom. It actually feels pretty decent on the hand. That's I kind of like that. That's different. Let's look at the back of the guitar. Let's look at our screws here. That's all nice. That's where it's set. Let's look at the cover. And right here, the cover is sticking out from the body, probably a 1/2 millimeter. Here about a 1/2 millimeter, and it's inset here. Inset, sticking out. So most likely these screws have been put in too tight and it's deflecting the plastic. Yeah, you can see the plastic moving. And it's doing the same thing here. So the cover is not, it's not very good there as far as fit and finish. You can hear it snapping, me pushing it in. That's probably the worst cover we've had on the channel. That's pretty bad. But it is a pretty red. It's got a little bit of a metallic look to it. Let's try to get a little closer to the camera. In the back. I'm going to say this guitar is just going to need a setup because the action is extremely high. We're going to have to adjust the truss rod, and if you were going to play this and make it comfortable, you're going to have to adjust the fret ends. Fit and finish on this guitar, there's a couple things I see. If you look right here at the neck, we're going to move the chair out of the way. If you look here at the neck, look at the difference between this side and this side, where it was sanded. I mean, it's okay, but there's definitely something going on with the chamfering on the sanding on the white binding. The big thing I see is the pick guard. That's this joint right here where they cut the pick guard is just horrible. They missed that by, 3/32 over a 1/16 of an inch. So the fit right here is poor. But the fit around the pickup covers is okay. The pickup covers do seem to set to the body flat, square, and true. Some guitars you'll see that there'll be a gap or they're bent. The pickups are also setting nice and true in the guitar, so that's good. So the two things that I'm seeing is no fret dressing, poor cut on the pick cover, and a bad setup. That's what I'm seeing right now. Let me plug my tuner into it, and we're going to check the first fretted note up here and see how the nut is cut. Just doing this, you go to your G, and then take your finger and then push on the string down to your first fret. There's quite a bit of space there. Yeah, there's quite a bit there. So I'm going to say it's most likely going to go sharp. So let's plug in our tuner and we'll be right back. Okay, I just plugged the guitar up to the tuner. Let's see how the tuning is right out of the box. It's pretty close to it looks like it was a little sharp, all but one string. So we're going to fine tune our E here. All right, let's check our first fretted note. Really sharp, which I kind of figured it would be. There's our E. There's our E. We're going to check our intonation. And the intonation is sharp as well. Let's go to our A. It's pretty stable. Check intonation. It is sharp as well. First fretted note. Wow. Not as bad as the E though. And there's our D. Check our first fretted note. First fretted note up top. You can see that it is sharp. Intonation on the 12th. It is sharp as well. There's our G. Let's check our G on the 12th. Intonation is sharp. First fretted note. It's really not as bad as I thought it'd be. The low E is pretty bad, but the rest of them really not horrible. The B's being a little funny, so most likely the nut needs to be cleaned a little bit. Nice, check our 12th. It's sharp. First fretted note. believe it or not, that's better than average. There's our high E, E on the 12th. So the intonation is definitely out. And the high E is good for first fretted note. It seems like the low E is the worst one. So it isn't gonna. There we go. Let's check again. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So it seems to get better as we go down. A first fretted note. Yeah. So the slot on the low E is definitely in need of some work. The rest of them aren't really that bad. I mean, they're not right, but they're not bad for a stock guitar. So it seems like our slot on our low E needs some work. Okay, here we are with the guitar upside down. I've removed the cover. And if you remember, we had issues with the cover. For some strange reason, they've put these little foam pads right here. And they've made this route so deep. I'm assuming that they put these pads on to try to lift this up to where it wasn't inset into the guitar. It does have the shielding tape on it though, but they've made the route so deep that it was going to inset. I think we should just take the little foam pads off, and that would fix the problem that we were having with our cover. The next issue I see is these are little teeny weeny pots, and you know, some people say they last just as long as the other, but you can tell that this is really an inexpensive wiring job. And another thing that you can tell right here, two places like that, and the tape that they used has fallen off. There's another piece right here. So, not good. We could see that there's a wire there that was just bare because the tape had already fallen off. Right here. And let's get that piece of tape out of there. It kind of looks like spaghetti in here. The solder joints don't look horrible. This one's nice and shiny. This one's nice and shiny. This one's nice and shiny. This one does a little dull. When your iron is hot and you get a good solder joint, it'll have a sheen to it. This one's a little on the dull side. It does have a very cheap switch, like I was thinking. And I'm not sure if this is conductive or not. But even if it is, you can see there's missed areas. So even if it is conductive shielding paint, it's done very poorly. So let's take the jack out now and see what the jack looks like. Okay, here we are at our jack. So let's take the jack out and see what we got. There's our jack. It's pretty thin. Even this plate's pretty thin. And you can see here, it's a pretty poor quality jack. You can see the gap right there from where it was crimped around the board. All right, let's put it back together. And don't tighten it back all the way. Get your other screw started. Okay, since now we've looked at the jack and we've opened this up and we've found these issues with the wires, one there and one here, I'm going to go ahead and before we even plug this thing into an amplifier, we're going to put some shrink tube over top of these. Okay, I went down to my workshop. I picked up 2 pieces of shrink tube. So we're going to take this wire, we're going to put that shrink tube over it and twist it to where it gets on the double wire. And you don't want to put it on so far that you don't have any protection. So I kind of push it on and feel. That's pretty good, about right there. It's got to be on far enough to where it'll make a good connection back here on the double wire. So we'll leave that one. So let's do this one. That looks pretty good. I have my heat gun. And that's all we have to do. And that will protect those bare wires. And that's on there. See? Never coming off. So anything else in here, this looks just kind of messy. It's a budget guitar. We are going to take these little pieces off and reattach the cover without those rubber pieces and see if that makes a difference. I'm also going to clean the compound off. So we'll be right back with it reinstalled. Okay, we've removed the foam pads off the cover plate and I've reattached it to the guitar. Now it is inset. It's set lower than the finish of the body of the guitar, and it's set in about 2 millimeters. Okay, now that we've looked at the electronics, checked out the jack, and did a quick repair on 2 wires and took the foam pads off the cover plate, it's time to plug this guitar into the amplifier and see what it sounds like. Okay, we have the guitar hooked up to my SGX 2000 Express. We're playing through an inline tube sweetener, a 362 BBE, a Pro Valve 6L6 power amp, into 4 Celestion Greenback drivers. We are on a completely clean channel. It's using a little delay, a little reverb, and just a little bit of compression. So all our knobs are all the way up. We'll start in our bridge position. Go to our center position, both pickups. Go to our bridge position. Now let's do what a lot of people do. Let's just roll off our volume just a little bit. We're going to roll off our tone just a little bit, try to take some of that pick attack out. And do that on each one of them. And start at our bridge position. Center position. Neck position. Now the action on this guitar is set extremely high, so I am going to attempt to do some bar chords on it, and just for reference, the string height is twice the height that I normally set customer guitars at. I usually play at 0.055, 0.06, and this one was at 0.135, I believe, on the low E, so let's give this a whirl with some bar chords. So we're going to go to our bridge position. We're going to leave all our knobs exactly where we had them. Go to our center position. position. Okay, we're going to add a little crunch to it and see what we get. Okay, we have our amp changed. We have a little crunch. So let's try to play something here. Center position. Neck position. Okay, I have the guitar hooked into the amplifier again. I've switched it to the full distortion channel, and I've noticed a little bit of noise out of the guitar. With the volumes all the way up and muting it, there is a little noise. So let's hit a couple chords and see what the guitar sounds like on the full dirty mode. Let's go to center position. Go to our bridge position. Okay, let's do some basic lead work. Go to our center position. Neck position. Okay, that's going to conclude our demo of the AX6 AX120, and it's time for final thoughts on it. Fit and finish, I'm going to give the guitar a 7. Because of the pick guard here, it's miscut. It's just not a good fit. The extra deep route that they did here and then put foam pads in to pad the cover out to make it look like it was cut right. Everything else fits pretty good. As far as construction, when we opened it up we saw 2 bare wires. That's just poor quality control. There is no setup on this guitar. The intonation is out. The cut nut for the low E string is way off. The rest of them are okay. It's almost like they forgot to cut the slot and adjust the low E string, because the other ones are decent. It's just the low E. The fretwork. I understand that this is a budget guitar, $220 guitar. And this is from a name brand, Ibanez. And Ibanez's bean counters probably said they needed to make X amount of money on the guitar. And that's where they saved money. There is absolutely no time put into these frets whatsoever on dressing the ends. I still see the crown marks from where the frets were leveled. So when they crowned the frets, they probably just went over it a couple times with the file, and that was it. I don't think they were ever touched with sandpaper. It feels pretty gritty feeling. There was no setup. The action on the guitar is way, way high. It's really high. It does have cheaper components inside. The switch is pretty cheap, and it has the very small pots. So it definitely has budget electronics in it. As far as the pickups, they're okay. It sounds pretty good on the clean. It sounds pretty good on crunch. They do lack a little clarity. They're not very articulate. And that really comes through when you add a lot of distortion to it. It really starts getting muddy when you add a lot of gain to the guitar. The pickups are most likely wax potted, but how can I put it? When I was in the crunch stage, it wanted to feed back. They're not microphonic. I did try to speak into the pickups. They do not pick that up, but they seem a little bit sensitive to high volumes. So if you were playing this on stage, you would most likely have some feedback issues with these pickups. That's kind of my thoughts on the guitar. The finish on the guitar, the paint job looks nice, and the guitar looks nice. I think if you put 8 hours of time in the guitar and give it a really good setup and dress the frets, and adjusted the neck, take the relief out and put a decent amount of relief in it, 0.3 millimeters of relief, set the intonation, I think the guitar could be nice. But at this price point, I honestly feel Ibanez missed the mark on this guitar. There's other guitars on the market at $220 that are going to come out of the box and play far better and sound better. If you had a different experience with your AX120 or AX6, leave a comment down below. How was your Ibanez? This is just one guitar. That doesn't mean they're all this way. Anyway, if you like this kind of content, please hit the like button and please subscribe. And again, I want to thank everyone that has already hit that subscribe button. It makes me feel good. It lets me know that I'm doing what you guys want to see. Anyway, thank you for clicking on the video, and have a good day.